So, ladies, especially American ladies, I know you've all wanted to serve your country on the front lines and die for the glory of a minoritarian empire, I suppose.
This is what feminism always promised at base, right?
Yeah, and this was a meme for a while. It came back. It came back in the form of Draft Our Daughters as a right-wing meme. And for things that are making a comeback, you might want to also check out on lotus.com. Someone who tried, Tony Blair here, of course, someone who would support Draft Our Daughters, I imagine, these days.
How could he refuse?
Tried to tell everyone, hey, guys, that Blairism thing, big mistake. But you can go and watch the Premium Hangout together where we went through all of that.
That's a great thumbnail, by the way. Yeah. Whoever made that.
But if we go to the next link, we can see the origins of Draft Our Daughters, in case folks at home don't know. This was this legendary S-poster who decided to come out and tweet this. I think his account's probably nuked at this point. This was a long time ago. It's him saying, "It's every woman's duty to sign up for the draft. Defeat Russia in war. We can do it. Hashtag why she runs. Hashtag I'm with her." And this was back when, of course, Hillary Clinton's campaign was going on. And Russia was just another word. It's changed now, of course. But there is many other S-poster who turned up to join the fight.
Yep.
This one, enlist for her, fight for her. I'm ready to fight for her, as being Hillary Clinton, of course. If we go forward, there's also take aim against Russian inequality. Join up now, ladies. Stand with her. And
this is genius, actually, I've got to say. They look legit. And this is, again, ultimately what they're asking for when they ask for affirmative action and women to be in the military.
This is my favourite form of memes when it comes to politics, which is where you remake the enemy's propaganda in which a style and vision that is professional enough that they would post it, but also with a message that's really stupid, but they would also post it. And it
that
just
they are already
works.
committed to.
Yes, there's no way they can back down from it. Because if we go to the next one as well, I think we have more of this, which you have someone else here just saying they are ready to go for war. For her, are you? Hashtag Draft Our Daughters, of course, being for gender equality. And then someone redid it so it was Hillary Clinton, of course, from her account, with the verified checkmark. They're like, we must do it. Go get them, girls. H at the end there.
Yeah.
A nice
that's
touch.
Genius.
Yeah, fantastic. And this was back during the Trump-Hillary campaign. And then Soy Jack fact-checkers had to rush to her defense. But like, no, she would never do that. Stop making fun of her.
Hillary Clinton's not a feminist.
Yeah. There's also a lovely comment in here, just quote, "I'm sure my wife would be proud to stand up to Russia's homophobic and Christian ways." Yeah, well.
Where's the lie?
Unfortunately, ladies, the evil misogynist Donald Trump came to power, and Draft Our Daughters was issued a crushing blow. It was taken away from you. But thankfully, some Republicans decided to bring it back for a joke. A few years later, as you can see here, 2 Republican congressmen introduced a bill to draft our daughters. I guess they found the 4chan post and were like, good idea, let's do that.
What I love about this is upping the ante. Just being like, okay, feminists, why is this wrong?
Yeah.
Tell us why this is wrong.
Let's actually put it in law.
Women in the draft. Men are in the draft in order to obtain the vote in the United States. Women have the vote without it. That's not gender equality. Oh dear, what's your argument? Boom, done.
Yeah. Both opponents of the opening bill were the people who proposed the bill in question as well. They voted against it and said they would vote against it. There's a Hunter, a major in the Marine Reserves, and a veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan, and Ziki, a retired Navy SEAL commander who served in Iraq, are the 2 people who proposed it. There is actually an Onion meme from a while ago where it's some member of the SEAL team or whatever is like, there's a reason you can't have women in the Special Forces, because as soon as you put 150 pounds on their back, they crumble like a fucking crouton. But no, it's real as well, which is these 2 lads.
But like they're going to vote against their own bill. It's like, yeah,
but they just come out and put it on the table. It's like, yeah, okay, let's have the vote. Let's dare you to vote for it. And they both said they would stand against it. However, this was in response as well to the Defense Secretary ordering that all billets in the military, including infantry and armor, will be open to women who qualify. So these 2 guys were like, are you serious? Right, okay, then let's open up all combat roles, including the draft, to women. No, you won't do that, because you recognize that men and women are different. Well, not everyone did, because the left-wing response to this at the time was, well, yes, let's do it.
Says, I know, Chris Marvin here. So it's not a woman who's leaping to this.
No.
Yep.
He was arguing that his daughters would be proud to serve. I don't think he asked them.
Yep.
He doesn't quote them at any point.
I mean, he does just make the point that liberal ideology demands that women be shuffled to the front line.
Yeah, saying making women eligible for the draft is overdue for gender equality and potentially transformative for the nation.
It certainly would be transformative, yeah.
Do you remember that right-wing propaganda from earlier? That's like, oh my god, imagine if the left promoted this. Yeah, it took a couple of years, but then they did. They're happy to sign on for it. And obviously, by the time this actually got to being voted on, the politicians were done peacocking, so they voted it down. They didn't pass it.
I can't believe they'd be such anti-feminists like this.
Very disappointing, ladies in the audience. I'm sad to say that Draft Our Daughters was once again killed. Women around the nation mourned this non-passing of the bill.
How can that be justified?
I don't know. They went back to their normal lives. I think I don't think women signed up en masse to join the army to get.
What's that? Oh no, I'm needed in the kitchen. I've got a cake to bake. My kids are going to be home from school. Bye.
I work at LinkedIn. What do I do? I mean, you can look at my TikTok.
Exactly.
I'm not sure what I do. I'm not sure what anyone else does either. We all just kind of, get coffees in the morning and then drink tea as well.
Look at my coconut caramel latte.
Oh God,
it's free.
But that was all the case. Until now, ladies, don't worry. You're finally being brought back into the conversation. Because you have here the Selective Service account from the US government. Again, I don't know why the hell there are so many goddamn government accounts on Twitter.com with verified checkmarks. Just stop it. I don't know why you need to do this. But instead, they decided to put out a tweet which was rather funny and has blown up. Parents, if your son is an only son, and the last male in your family to carry the family name, he is still required to register with the SS. Learn more about who needs to register at our website, with a picture of a father and his son, and, a lot of leftists.
How do you identify what a son is?
Yeah, that was the question, of course. Also, barbaric notions here of the fact that your son is valuable, and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, so, no, God, we can't imply that.
Lots of other complaining on that front, that family means something, and that there is special value to men, etc. However, I will focus on the other, more pressing complaint, which is, what do you mean you're going to draft some of our daughters? Which daughters? Not the real ones. If we go to the government website itself, they have a section on here called transgender people.
Oh, really?
Because of course they do. US citizens or immigrants who are born male and change their gender to female are still required to register.
Oh dear. Under Biden's administration, I thought he was a progressive.
Individuals who are born female and change their gender to male are not required. We don't
Gender
need
equality? Never heard of it. Don't know what you're talking about.
But I'm a man. Draft me.
Trans what?
No, I'd really rather not.
Just... what I love about this so much is just the complete facade of like, oh, look at you, what's a woman, what's a man, oh, they've transitioned. No, that's all gone. No, just males and females.
Every day of the year, every politician within the left-wing movements has to peacock about how they know what a woman is now, and it's whatever I say it is. There are no defining lines. And when it comes to reality, when it comes to a government policy such as the draft...
When it comes to getting shot by Russians...
You have all the trans men taking their short hair and trying to desperately turn it into pigtails again.
Yeah, and all the trans women just getting dead named repeatedly.
Shaving their heads, being like...
Oi, Mike, it's time for the draft. Oh no, I'm not Mike anymore.
Well, you are.
My name's Matilda. No, it's not.
It's a simple message, which is men serve, women don't.
Yes.
And, draft our daughters. Go get them, gals. Because, of course, we're real women, as we're always told. In which case, Draft Our Daughters has finally won. Not all of our daughters. Just the trans daughters. But, that's enough. We've made progress.
That is an inroad into the territory, isn't it?
Some percentage of
a very small percentage.
New women
Yes.
are defined in the bill now as being drafted. So, don't worry, gals. You are represented at the front. Just not by your fellow women. But if we go to the response to this, I had to pick my favourite outlet, which is Pink News. Because the way they write their response to this, it really does read like a parody article.
Sorry, trans women must sign up to US military draft under a rational and outdated rule. Oh.
What is the irrational and outdated rule?
Oh.
The rule that men exist.
Oh. Well, I mean...
That's irrational and outdated.
Honestly, I think the gender abolitionists are actually one step ahead of us on this. Because, I mean, having men or women for the draft, just people. Just warm bodies. No distinction at all.
Except, no, because that's not how reality works, and we all know it. This is a funny thing, which is that for every day of every moment in the West, Westerners will literally lie to each other and their leaders and their bosses and their employees about how, oh yes, trans women are women, or blah, 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 whatever stupid
women
Western
are equal
lie.
to men, blah, blah, blah.
The entire rest of the world just thinks we're nuts.
Yes.
Whenever you go to a foreign place and ask them, tell them about what is going on in our countries, they usually start laughing, thinking you're joking. You're like, no, I'm serious. And you load up whatever's going on, you show them, and they look at you. What?
Why would you do this?
Yeah, and this is another one of them, which is that we all lie to each other every single day in the West, or at least I should say those in the mainstream do.
Yeah.
Those of us living in the real world don't
We
have
get
to bother.
deplatformed instead.
Yeah, but everyone in the halls of power have to lie to each other about this until, of course, it suddenly actually matters and they all remember what reality is. Because they know what's politically correct and what is actually factually correct.
Yes.
And they know when to make a distinction, which is when they would be fired, but when it actually matters, they know to go for the factual correct one. At least in this regard, for now. Although, as we've seen in the Soviet Union, political correctness can take over factual correctness when it comes to it. And we're getting there. But Pink News, right? The policy, which has been present in the SSS legislation for several years, shocked many political activists and organizations. I don't know how.
No, I know exactly how it shocks them, because they were not aware of it in any way, shape, or form.
It had only been the case for the last 100% of the United States' existence.
The Eye of Sauron was looking somewhere over there, and suddenly they're looking at this and they're like, oh my god, this applies to us.
With some calling for an immediate update or removal of the clause. I love how the children, again, just think, I will bang the table and the whole world will shift. And I was like, no, the draft's kind of more serious than your nonsense. And, you can't just demand, I demand the rules change. And they're right, okay, go to Congress, vote on it. Oh, wait, we did. And we voted to not do it because we're not idiots.
I love these objections.
The policy, which has been present in SSS legislation, just read that one. F the selective service system and its transphobic bioessentialist inclusion of trans women as men.
That's the only problem with the draft, lads.
It's
transphobic.
Well, not even that. It is bioessentialist. Mm-hmm. It believes in biology.
Yes. Well, that's the long-running argument. If you're a biological essentialist, then, of course, you don't think that men can become women.
I just love the idea as opposed to what?
Social constructivist.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I believe in biology. Yeah, well, I believe in constructing things out of thin air.
Yeah, I believe that the gender roles just fell from the sky and have no connection to any biological nature that a human being might have.
When you play it out in those terms, instead of just screaming transphobe, it becomes far more clear.
Yeah, who's the lunatic?
There is this weird veneer when someone just screams, you're a transphobe, and then it's like, ooh, an accusation. They must be the bad person until proven innocent. But instead, if you don't know, there's a bioessentialist and the social constructionist who just make stuff up.
Yes.
Yeah, funnily enough, the bioessentialist.
Yeah, you can thank Judith Butler for this.
It's just, I love the language. Anyway, another commented on a letter they had received saying, being trans isn't fun anymore. Okay. I just got my selective service system letter, and they're going to put me in the trenches.
Hey, man, we've got to secure the future for Ukraine.
I love it as well that them being trans for this person was just fun. It was a bit of a laugh in which they experienced, oh, yes, I am a woman, I swear. And then they got the letter saying, no, you have to serve if needs be.
But aren't there going to be a load of trans female to men, women to men, who are going to be like angry that they didn't get their selective service letter? I mean, surely
we haven't found any. We'll keep looking until we get one of those.
There must be an entire contingent of them online going, hang on a second, I'm a man, I deserve to be drafted.
Me, Elliot Page, I am just as manly as anyone else.
Where's Elliot Page's draft?
I should be killing Russians with my bare fists. No, funnily enough, they've not written that. Elliot
the
Page.
Next James Bond isn't being drafted. I can't believe it.
Elliot Page is there with her pink purse and little doggy going, oh no, little cute, don't bother me.
Playing with a pigtails. I don't know anything about war.
What? That's a man's game. Anyway, the newly rediscovered policy. What do you mean rediscovered? This is not the new world.
It's been on the website the whole time, but you just never looked, did you?
But it's not even just the website. It's like for 100% of America's history, this has been the case. Yeah. And you're like, oh my god, this is going on.
Newly rediscovered.
I was shocked to find the Constitution.
Yeah, but when they say newly rediscovered, this floated to the top of the stream of nonsense on Twitter, and then we saw it and we were like, oh god, what, me?
But they say this newly rediscovered policy also gave a mass of transphobes
the real problem.
The bioessentialists instead of the lunatics. Yep. The excuse to start airing bigoted rhetoric, such as that men are the ones in the draft, women are not. Yep, bigoted rhetoric, I'm sure.
Deeply illiberal.
Claiming that the policy clearly shows that trans women are men. Yeah. Despite the fact...
According to the US government.
Despite the fact, policies can, shockingly, be sometimes wrong.
Okay. How would you like to change it?
Not this time, though, is it? It's like, yeah, the policies can be wrong, usually when they start saying that women are men. When they say men are men, and women are women, Usually they're right, but sorry, gals, you haven't got long to go and join. I suppose the trans gals in the audience who are desperate to be drafted. In 2020, the National Center for Transgender Equality demanded that Congress retract the clause, arguing that it created needless hardship for trans and intersex individuals. So indeed, we are going back to drafting our daughters for trans people.
So it will be that the females to males, all of the autistic lesbian women who have been transitioned, 21 years old and whatnot,
will be sent to the trenches, but not because we think it's a good idea to draft women.
Because we have to believe that they're men.
Yes. So, we had, as I showed, the debate before in the United States about should we draft women, and even the Democrats eventually went, wait, that's a really stupid idea. Let's not do that. But now, because it is transphobic, it is now being recommended in Congress that, yeah, maybe we should. I don't want to be a transphobe.
I think we should. I God forbid.
Why shouldn't we send our pregnant women in tanks to the front?
God forbid transphobia.
And in case you think I'm being a bit hyperbolic with that example, I remember when we were in Germany, we met a member of the AfD. He was telling us how the Ministry of Defense was currently being sued in Germany because their tanks were not suitable for pregnant women and therefore were not inclusive enough. Don't know if you remember him telling us that.
Not offhand, actually, but I can believe that a tank is not suitable for a pregnant woman.
Yeah, it was true as well, that the seating was not actually to standard.
Well, I mean, of course...
Yeah, so they were redoing the seating, and it was costing them a few million euros.
The idea that Germany's so committed to liberal ideology, they're like, well, look, we're not going to be transphobes about this.
So we're
going to have pregnant women in our tanks. Extend the seats.
It's like the worst place to be pregnant women. Like, not even, we're going to send you to the front where you just sit in a foxhole. Instead, you have to drive the tank and get shot at with anti-tank missiles.
I think just anywhere on a battlefield is pretty much the worst place to be a pregnant woman.
I'd still have preferences. And it wouldn't be the tank I'd be wanting to sit in. Anyway, so that is how the drafting our daughters is going to go about. A congressionally mandated commission studying the SSS gender policies recommended making the registration system gender neutral. Because, transphobia. After reviewing the institution, it found that maintaining a specifically gendered draft was harmful to both trans and intersex individuals, and said that the SSS should either switch to a gender-neutral approach or be removed entirely. You would have thought the response would have been that, okay, we'll just class them all as women. You trans, you're a woman, get out of here. Like, you're not suitable for the draft.
That would be actually a fairly reasonable.
I'm gender-neutral, leave. I don't want you in the front.
That literally, what does removed entirely mean? So it should either be gender neutral or removed entirely, as in no draft at all.
So, yeah, either we draft everyone or nobody.
Right, okay, well.
And,
I say draft everyone.
Yeah, instead we are going to send the pregnant women in the tanks.
God, imagine the female influencers on the front lines. Get off your phone. That has satellite targeting on it. Literally, it's telling the Russians our location.
That did actually. The Russians already did that. The Russian men were all playing on their phones, and you could see on Google Street View which Ukrainian roads were congested.
Idiots.
So it's like you could literally tell where the tanks were coming because like this red line of congested traffic would just move. Anyway,
morons.
But that is not quite as bad as the TikTok nurses who will be drafted and then twerking as we all get shot at. Anyway, quote,
honestly, I think it's exactly what they deserve.
Yeah. We welcome the Commission's recognition that a nationwide system based on blanket gender rules and stereotypes is irrational and outdated, said the National Center for Transgender Equality.
It's irrational that you would separate men from women when it came to the draft. It's just irrational. It sounds dated, mate.
Irrational stereotypes that men are made for war. Okay, fine. Yeah, no biological reality could ever show such a thing. It's almost like the women should be kept at home so we have a future generation, perhaps, whereas the men, you don't need as many.
This is definitely an outdated stereotype.
There is a stereotype that women are the baby makers.
Definitely outdated.
Yeah. Don't you know men can also get pregnant? That's literally what they're going to say.
That's actually going to be their response.
Quote, the current system is confusing and creates needless hardship for many.
Actually, I thought it was quite clear.
I did think it was clear as well, which is men yes, women no. This is too confusing for the trans lobby. They have decided that we must intervene and instead destroy the whole thing.
Well, the trans lobby are literally going to send a delegation saying, excuse me, please define woman. And then we're into the mystical concept of woman from their perspective. So it is confusing in a way.
So there we have it. There is the Draft Our Daughters campaign, which started out as a right-wing meme from some S-poster in the Trump-Hillary campaign, became another right-wing meme for some right-wing congressman, and then everyone dropped it until we realized, oh, isn't this transphobic? And in the current year, we are actually going to end up drafting our daughters on the basis that, well, I don't want to offend the non-binary weirdos screeching at me.
We've got to do it. No, we really have to do it. The only way they're going to learn is by enforcing the things they're demanding. Make them live by their own set of rules. This is like Alinsky's first rule or something. Make them live up to their own rule book. Actually, I think this is like an 8th rule, but it's one of his important rules. Make them do it. Make them feel the pain. Make them feel the consequences of what they've been demanding this whole time. You're right. We need to get rid of any gender distinctions at all when it comes to the draft or war or any of these things that create remarkable hardships that men are expected to shoulder, which was part of the dignity of being a man, in fact. No, ladies. Out. Go.
So there we have it, Willies. Get ready to take aim at Russian inequality, I guess, as the meme did propose, and I suppose prophesized. If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the Contemplation series that Josh does, on this one being on why women love serial killers. If you want to find out what else Josh is putting out, you can follow him on Getter at Josh_firm on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.